I'd like to call to order the Board of Education meeting for Monday, August 29th, 2022. Ms. Albert, could you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Sternbach? Here. Dr. Rohr?
Here.
Mr. Schroyer?
Here.
Megan Sparks?
Here, please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I please have approval of the agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
Ms. Albert, could you call the roll again, please?
Mrs. Sternbach? Yes. Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schroyer?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. We have item number 5, introduction of new administrators by Mr. Turkey.
Thank you, Mrs. Sparks. As I presented to the board last week, just to recap or review, we have over 130 staff in new or different positions for the 22-23 school year, so it's a very, very busy spring and summer. We hired 44 new certificated staff and 44 new classified staff. There are 43 new to the district teachers, and there are 2 new to the district administrators. Overall, we have 7 administrators who are in new positions, including, of course, our new superintendent, Mr. Wesney. So I would, at this time, like to recognize Mr. Wesney publicly and welcome him. And Mr. Schroyer did that last week as well. In addition to the board's hiring of Mr. Wesney, my office oversaw the hiring of 6 administrators who are in new and different positions this year. So tonight we are going to, I'm going to introduce them alphabetically, so I'll ask them to come forward and maybe line up. Sarah, where would you like them? Here or? Okay. So I'd just like to say a few words about each one of them, give you a little bit of information about their career, where they've been, and give you a chance to put a name on the face. So alphabetically, I'm going to start with Chuck Kogel, our Director of Business Operations. Mr. Kogel is no stranger to the Board of Education or community. Yes, Ms. Sparks also has a little memento. Mr. Kogel has been performing his duties as Director of Business Operations since August 1st. Chuck was hired by the Centerville City Schools in 1999 as an applied technology teacher, and before accepting the director's position this year, he spent 5 years as the principal at our School of Possibilities and 6 years as the South Unit principal. So welcome, Chuck. Yolanda Crooms. Saw Yolanda. Come on up. Mrs. Crooms is new to the district this year. She's had previously spent 23 years as an accomplished school psychologist. She will be our new school psychologist at PBS. Specifically, she comes to us from the Dayton Public Schools, where she's worked as a school psychologist for the past 20 years. Prior to her service with DPS, she worked in the same capacity for the Indianapolis Public Schools. So welcome, Yolanda. Kendra Forsythe. Kendra? Kendra is our new middle school special education coordinator. She has worked for the Centerville City Schools for the past 10 years. During that period of time, she's worked as an intervention specialist right here at Centerville High School until assuming her new responsibilities this past August the 1st. Prior to that, she held leadership positions here at Centerville High School. Those included special ed department chair and also one of our directors of our Voyager program. So welcome, Kendra. Jennifer Keys. Jen will be one of our elementary special ed coordinators. Ms. Keys has worked for the district in a variety of roles since the 2010 school year. During her previous 11 years with the district, she served as an intervention specialist for 5 years, a 3rd grade teacher, classroom teacher for 2 years, and most recently as the district's K-8 instructional technology coordinator since the 2017 school year. So welcome, Jen.
Thank you.
Brian Miller. Brian is also new to the Centerville City Schools this year. He also has the distinction of being the first new hire of this administrative class. So Brian was originally trained as a classroom teacher. He spent 1 year teaching. Previous to his hire here in Centerville, he worked 11 years in finance and business operations, the last 7 of which as the business and financial analyst for the Butler County Job and Family Services Division. So welcome, Brian. And Jen Riegel. Ms. Riegel has been employed by the Centerville City Schools since the 1996-97 school year, and she was hired to teach phys ed over at Stingley Elementary School. I didn't know that. Beginning with the 1997-98 school year, she moved here to Centerville High School, where she taught health and PE until her transition this year to South Unit Principal. So, in addition to her teaching responsibilities, she held several leadership roles, including principal designate, health and PE department chair, and she was the girls varsity volleyball coach. So, welcome, Jen. So, no doubt, Centerville Schools are fortunate to have all of you this year. So, best of luck to you with your newfound responsibilities this year. Have a great year.
Thank you, Mr. Turkey. Next is public participation, if there's no one signed up. Public participation, there isn't any, so there's no one signed up, so we will skip that one. Legislative, next we're on the board and administrative reports. Legislative reports are still on recess, so we don't have one of those tonight. We do have student board rep reports though.
We're going to wait to introduce them.
Just kidding. Okay, so no student reports, so it looks like you're up, Mr. Westy.
Thank you. Tonight, I just want to take a few minutes to kind of go and recap the start of the 22-23 school year. 9 days into the school year, and everything seems to be running very smoothly for the district, and we're really excited about that. Obviously, a long summer of planning and preparing for the school year. Obviously, a lot of changes in our administrative ranks, as you've seen tonight. So it's good to have everyone in place and the school year started. So just to kind of recap the last couple of weeks, our school year started with an overall staff meeting on Monday, August the 15th. And during that staff meeting, we looked at various things to celebrate within our district. And one of the things that I like to celebrate as a superintendent is that we had 8,164 students come back to our buildings and into our classrooms for the start of the school year. That's an exciting reason to celebrate. Some other things we talked to staff about was our strategic planning and the process that we went through with our strategic plan, and the fact that it took us about a year to get our strategic plan in place. And this is the year, the opportunity for us to implement that plan with our staff and with our students. And so we're excited about those opportunities moving forward. Some other reasons we talked about as far as celebrating, we've got some very good partnerships with our township trustees, our township administrators, the city of Centerville, specifically next door here with the fire department. A lot of you have seen progress next to the high school here with we're building a fire station. The fire department has purchased some of that property, has started that project. It's nice to know that we're going to have emergency responders closer to Centerville High School. So that's great that we're seeing that. We've had a partnership with the city. We worked hard last spring to finalize an idea of our project of getting a road built here next to Centerville High School. And tonight, I'm going to have the opportunity to talk to the board about a partnership with the Park District and their interest in buying some property. So with that, we looked at what can we do for this year as we start to implement our strategic plan, and focusing on a couple goals for the year. And obviously the strategic plan was a big part of our goals for this year. The work we did last year, bringing our staff, our teachers, administrators, folks from the board, the community, and to help develop our strategic plan was just a way to find a bond, if you will, for all of our staff to be able to work together within this organization. So our mission, as you've seen it, it's behind me. It's to empower, challenge, and support every learner to grow every day. And so one of the challenges that we've talked to our staff about is how can we implement that mission? Whether you're a teacher, whether you're a bus driver, whether you work in food service, what is it that you can do to help foster that mission and that growth to help those students learn each and every day? One of the things that I talked about specifically is looking at our focus areas. Some of our focus areas, just to share with you, those focus areas that deal with teaching and learning, leading and innovating, diversifying and including, communicating and understanding, and resourcing and supporting. And if you think about those focus areas, you can find a way to help support our learners in the classroom. I use the new superintendent as an example. There's things that I can learn, moving forward that will impact, our staff or our teachers moving forward. So one of the challenges that I can present to the staff on that Monday morning is what is it you can do as an educator or as a member of this organization to help our learners grow and to empower and challenge them and support them to grow each and every day. And again, that's for everybody in our organization, from all ranks, whether you're a classroom teacher to a bus driver, there's a fit for everyone with this strategic plan. So we're excited to roll this strategic plan out moving forward. One of the other initiatives that I talked about, it's been on all of our minds, and it continues to be on all of our minds, is school safety. What can we do as a group, as an organization, to continue to promote safety within our buildings, in the district. As I mentioned, it's everybody's responsibility to make sure doors are locked, to make sure that we're screening our visitors. We've had the opportunity this summer to implement a Raptor visitor management program through a grant system. Where you visit one of our buildings, somebody's going to ask you for your driver's license, it'll print your ID. And so we have a data system now of visitors who are coming in and out of our buildings. So again, I think it's a great opportunity to implement some of those safety plans in place. Talked a lot about community support. We worked very hard this August with the Centerville Police and the Centerville Washington Township Sheriff's Office. We implemented Run, Hide, Fight training that's being implemented across the district. So again, just another example of how we're trying to make sure that we can provide safe and secure schools and safe and secure buildings for all of our students. So to follow up on that, we had a great start. Wednesday, it continues to be a very good start, a very good opening for the district. Obviously, we still have a few things that we're trying to fine-tune and finalize, but we're making those adjustments as we're moving forward, and it's been a great start so far in the school year. So with that being said, I'm going to call up our curriculum team, who's going to talk a little bit about leading Rebound and some of the things that are taking place in the classroom.
So we wanted to get started by, last year, we talked about leading Rebound and coming back from the pandemic even stronger than before. Some of the places where we had to look and grow and really close the gap from things that happened during the pandemic. We're happy to report as we analyze our assessment results, both local,
Speak up, please.
Local and state, that we have in fact rebounded and grown in all areas.
So from the beginning, we've talked about leading to Rebound being a multi-year response to the pandemic. And a couple of things that we have been able to put in place that we're proud of, and the work that our teachers are doing is we've included a number of teachers on what we're calling curriculum teams. Those curriculum teams are meeting regularly with the curriculum department to assess the needs of both our students and our teachers and how we can share in supporting the work that's going in our classroom and making sure that we're responding as that evolves throughout the school year.
As part of our Summer Institute this summer, we had a big read where we read Culturally Responsive Teaching in the Brain and had lots of great conversations. One of the main tenets in that book is making sure that we're developing independent learners and moving students toward that independence with the ability to problem solve and find solutions and take ownership of their learning and making sure we're creating those conditions in our classroom where it's safe for all students to learn and grow.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it. One of the major parts is why it's called culturally responsive teaching in the brain is some learning about how the brain works. And really one of the first goals that we have to have in our buildings and in our classrooms is creating a safe space. That students have to have that sense of safety in the classroom, feel welcomed and a sense of belonging. First and foremost, brain science, before they can start taking in things about math and ELA and the things that we ultimately want to be working with them on. So it was a powerful book that we had over 330 of our staff throughout the district participate in this summer.
Another big point out of the book, just to mention one more thing, is this idea of developing partnerships and developing learning partnerships. It's taking the relationship to the next level so that all parties, teacher, student, parent, community member, have a give and take in that relationship and take on ownership of the learning and of the teaching and those kinds of things.
Yeah, I would say we've really honed in on the word partnership with our staff. We think that relationships are great, but a partnership suggests a deeper commitment to success for all parties involved. So that's been, although it can be viewed as semantics, we really see that as an important piece to deepening that partnership with our families and our students. So sticking with the theme of leading the rebound, just this year at the secondary level, continuing to really hone in on that math and ELA. We have a lot of metrics on that, and we also have now a number of resources that through some of our funding have really helped us secure and continue. I have a couple of those up there, our Carnegie Learning Program, which we're in our second year of implementing in our math classroom, 6 through 12, 6 through Algebra 2, IXL, which is support, and then also something that we feel is important to the social emotional well-being of students at the secondary level and helping with goal setting is college and career planning, post-secondary planning, which we are beginning in the middle school level, really age appropriate, just exploring, but really leveraging a program called Naviance to help us with those goals setting for students.
And at the elementary, we're continuing our focus on MTSS, which is multi-tiered systems of support. That is making sure that we have solid core instruction that all students get in every classroom, as well as the supports needed as we have struggles or areas where we're struggling to learn, that we have those interventions in place and we're not waiting, we're providing those right away. So there's been quite a bit of work that's been done in the back end with the district team last year, and so we are actually launching building teams this year and getting a lot of people into that work as we move forward. Other pieces that are part of that really are we're continuing that implementation of our Bridges math curriculum. We're several years into that now, so really fine-tuning that and making sure we're doing the appropriate differentiation and all of those pieces. As well as training lots of teachers in North Gillingham and adding that to our repertoire of how we teach literacy, reading, and writing, and that's really adding to. And we're also implementing purposeful people. So that's our character ed and SEL curriculum. September launches with respect, and so you'll be hearing and seeing lots of students talk about respect and what that looks like in pre-K all the way through 5th grade and how they can carry that out into the community.
So just to kind of sum a couple of these things up, we've had the opportunity all summer to work with our administrators who are here in new roles, but really focusing on trying to regain, continue to build that positive culture and sense of belonging. I think we continue to see the effects of what the pandemic had, and just really continuing to build that community, that's feeling that school is a safe place, and we're being to care about all of you. So I think that has been embraced by our staff, especially our administrators who have led that charge out of the gates, and I think we're seeing some of the positive benefits of that work already.
And we also are just continuing to capitalize on the momentum. We saw lots of growth in some areas and small bits of growth in others, and so trying to improve those and continue taking students from where they are and moving them forward. And so last week when we talked a little bit about ESSER, so we wanted to provide a few updates of some of the ways that Centerville has been spending some of the ESSER dollars. And so one of the ways that we've spent it both last year and this year was on summer intervention. So we provided intervention for students in kindergarten through 7th grade, and that was a 3.5-week stint in the summer, and so it's definitely extra learning. And with the ESSER money, we were able to purchase materials that we will use for the next 5, 6, 7 years. We also were able to pay for snacks and the teachers and the transportation to provide so we could bus kids to summer intervention. We've provided summer intervention for a long time in this district, but just with ESSER, we've started being able to provide that transportation. So that really levels the playing field and allows us to get all the kids that need to be there.
We are now a one-to-one district, and because of that, we have a lot of opportunities with digital resources. The ESSER funds have allowed us to grow a lot of our resources that students can access now all the time. If they want to work on math, they have a device. They have a device that has resources on that provides kind of unprecedented opportunities for them to work if they want to, get feedback, and grow in their understanding of math, reading, sometimes science, social studies. So the ESSER funds have helped really secure and solidify some of those resources for us.
Some other things that we've purchased include supplies and materials to support various learning, manipulatives and those kinds of things. One example are sand trays. It's a tactile way to practice letter formation and some of those pieces, as well as sound cards. There's lots of different math manipulatives and things, again, that we've been able to purchase with this money that we will continue to use for the future. And so it really helps us. We've also provided a number of pieces of professional development, which again, are things we would have likely provided without ESSER, but we're able to fund them through ESSER, and that benefits our district tenfold moving forward.
And with some of the opportunities with the ESSER funds, we've been able to fund some of the larger building needs. Again, an example would be like dormitory replacement. So it's obviously been helpful to the budget to have these funds, and these are just some of the ways that we're using them.
Are there any questions about that? And then the last thing we just wanted to share is we will be back again next month with official state test results and state report card update. We are actually in trainings all this week of all the changes that have happened or will be happening to the report card. And so we'll be able to share that all with you and explain what that is at this point in time. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'd like to just take a minute to thank Adam Shree and the rest of the central office team, and really our staff, our teachers and our administrators. Those are the ones that worked really hard all summer to make this a great start. So thank you for your work and your efforts. It's very much appreciated on my part. Thank you.
Laura, this whole thing is accessible online. If any of our community wants to see the exact way we spent our money and their money, which has gotten some press lately, obviously in the paper, and you can see how well we've used it, how appropriately we've used it. So it is available for anyone to see and access.
That's correct. There's a section on the curriculum page that's labeled COVID funds, I believe, and you just click that and you can have access to this document.
So I want to take a minute to talk about the Park District purchase I mentioned earlier, and the partnership that we have. It's been a great partnership with Centerville Washington Township Park District. It's been about a year ago. The Park District approached Dr. Henderson and myself about purchasing some undeveloped land that's owned by the Board of Education. We obviously had some conversations with the Park District. The Park District was using some additional grant resources. They have an interest in purchasing 6.23 acres of land near Norby Elementary. In addition, there's some acreage, just a little over 27 acres of land at Watts Middle School. And tonight I want to kind of break that down for you. We talked about it last week in our executive session, the actual purchase agreement, some things that we cleaned up to kind of help understand that purchase agreement that you have a copy of in tonight's meeting. At Norby Elementary, this is the property that is considered as Exhibit A. I know it's hard to see, but it's really the borders that I really wanted to stress and share with you tonight. Right here in the middle is actually Normandy itself. It's the track 2. It's about 8.5 acres. That's where the building sits with all the drives, playgrounds, and everything that's used for the building. On the back side of the the back side of Normandy is track 1, which is about 5.23 acres. That's very steep, below grade, behind the building. And then the additional acreage is track 3, which is 1 acre, right here approximately where the cabins are located in this parcel. So that's the property that's associated with the 6.23 acres at Normandy Elementary. At Watts Middle School, you can see this first section. This is considered Exhibit B in your document. There's this first track, actually Watts itself, and this would be the new boundary. The yellow line that you see on the screen, you can see it goes pretty far back. One of the questions we had last week were some of our athletic fields. We're actually keeping some of those fields. We've used this as the football field in the past. You can see the softball field and then the soccer fields that we've had on the north side of Watts. So in that particular purchase, looking at 27 total acres to be purchased. A lot of that property is very steep, undevelopable as far as the district goes. There's no way we could really have a building there because of how steep that terrain is. Over the last few years, we've had a lot of ash trees that we've had to cut down, take out, which has been an additional expense for the district to be able to remove all those trees. So with all that being said, just want to kind of share some of the totals with you tonight. It's a total of 33.24 acres. Total purchase price is $555,000. Just share with you exhibits A and B. It kind of shares with you the board, the outline of what those property lines will look like in the future. Exhibits C, D, and E in your information are all easements. E is actually a walking easement. We'll still have access to the property for our students to walk and enjoy the property. And so that is the agreement that we have for tonight. There is a resolution on the agenda to approve the purchase of the park district. With that said, are there any questions?
The proceeds, I know we talked about this last week, but the proceeds will be going into the permit improvement budget and not into the general fund, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Next items are treasurer recommendations. Consider approving the July 2022 financial statements, the monthly cash reconciliation, the monthly fund activity report, the then and now purchase orders approved by administration, certified by the treasurer and supported by the board resolution totaling $116,456.76. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Sauber, could you please call the roll?
Mrs. Sternbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schreier?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Consider approving the minutes of the following Board of Education meetings. July 25th, 2022, regular meeting. August 22nd, 2022, work session. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Sauber, could you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Sternbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schreier?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Consider approving the purchase and sales of commercial paper and bankers acceptance and the income earned from the commercial paper and banker acceptances from fiscal year 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Sauber, we're just
You want to explain this a little bit?
Yes.
Sure. This is new. This is a requirement that we haven't had in the past. It's something that the auditor's office is now requiring that I bring to you a list of the securities that we had invested in, specifically the commercial paper securities during fiscal year 22, and then the income that we received in interest from those investments. So again, it's just a piece for audit compliance.
And all of that we got in the packet was just interest only, all of those totals.
There was a listing
Yes.
first of this individual securities
Yes.
throughout the whole year.
Yes.
And then the interest that corresponded with that.
Thank you.
Can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Dernbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schreier?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Next, we have superintendent recommendations. Schedule A, the superintendent recommends accepting resignation as listed on Schedule A. Schedule B is change of employment status or change of contract status. Schedule C, the superintendent recommends the employment, change of employment status or change of contract status for the certificated personnel listed on Schedule B for the salaries program and on the effective dates given. Schedule C, the superintendent recommends the employment or change of employment status for the support staff personnel listed on Schedule C for the salary programs and effective dates given. Schedule D and D1, the superintendent recommends the employment of the personnel listed on Schedule D and D1 for supplemental and contracts or extra duty assignments. Schedule D2, the superintendent recommends the employment of the personnel listed on D2 for supplemental contracts or extra duty assignments. Schedule 3, the superintendent recommends the employment of the personnel listed on Schedule D3 for supplemental contracts or extra duty assignments. E. Oh, I thought it was D4. Oh, I'm sorry. What do I do, David?
That's okay.
E, the superintendent recommends the granting leaves of absence for the personnel listed on Schedule E for the reason and on the dates given.
So moved.
Second.
May I have the roll call, please, Ms. Sauber?
I'm going to just clarify, we're approving Schedules A, B, C, D and D1, D2, and E.
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Dernbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schreier?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Okay, now we can do D3. So Schedule D3, the superintendent recommends the employment of the personnel listed on Schedule D3 for the supplemental contracts or extra duty assignments.
So moved.
Second.
Can I have the roll, please, Ms. Sauber?
Mrs. Dernbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schreier?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Schedule D4, the superintendent recommends the employment of the personnel listed on Schedule D4 for the supplemental contracts or extra duty assignments.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Sauber, can I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Dernbach?
Abstain.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schreier?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Item 2, consider authorizing the executive of real estate purchase agreement with the Centerville, Washington Township District related to the sale of the school district board of certain real property located in Montgomery County, Ohio.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Sauber, could you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Dernbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schreier?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Item 3, consider approving the 2022-2023 test security procedures required by the Ohio Revised Code and Administrative Code 3301-13-01.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Sauber, can I have the roll, please?
Mrs. Dernbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schreier?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Item number 4, consider approving the Southwest Ohio Education Purchasing Council resolution for the purchase of school buses, whereas the Centerville City School Board of Education wishes to advertise and receive bids for the purchase of one or more school buses. Therefore, be it resolved, the Centerville Board of Education wishes to participate and authorize the Southwestern Ohio Educational Purchasing Council to advise and receive bids on said board's behalf as per the specifications submitted for the cooperative purchase of 7 school buses.
So moved.
Second?
Do you want to say anything about that? Sure. May I have the roll call, please?
Mrs. Dernbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schreier?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Final comments regarding the past or old business from the Board of Education?
I would like to accommodate, make sure that our staff knows that we appreciate how much they have done to get the school year started off so well. So thank you to all of our staff.
I just wanted to welcome the new administrators that were introduced tonight. Welcome to the district, or welcome in your new role if you're not new to the district. And I wanted to commend Mr. Wesley on an excellent opening day. This was the first year since I've been elected that I've been able to attend an in-person opening day ceremony isn't the right word, but presentation, I guess. And I was really impressed by the presentation itself, the implementation of the strategic plan, and just the energy in the room. It was excellent.
Thank you.
Well done.
And I just want to say, it seems like we go really fast for this meeting, but we meet the third Monday of the month to do our work session, which lasts a lot longer, and this is when we have all our discussion and questions happen. So if you want to see how this works, please join us on the third Monday of the month. Thank you for those in attendance. Okay, may I have a motion for adjournment, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Ms. Sauber, could you call the roll for the last time, please?
Mrs. Sternbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schreier?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes.